beautiful legacy. Every line, every curve leaves a trace of who we were.
Hello and welcome to A Beautiful Legacy. I'm your host, Tiago Pinto. Today we continue our February theme on how movement became everyday. Before speed could feel familiar, before motion could be trusted, and before performance could be understood without participating in it, speed had to be translated into something readable. This episode is about the person who did exactly that. Not by building engines, not by designing cars, but by teaching the world how speed looks. That said, hang with me for the next 10 minutes. In the early decades of motorsport, speed existed without a grammar. Cars were fast, races were dangerous, and photography struggled to keep up. Images were distant, static, and descriptive. Cars appeared as objects frozen mid-action. The intensity of motion, the fear, proximity, and instability rarely reached the frame. Speed was real, but visually abstract. Jesse Alexander entered motorsport photography at a moment when racing was accelerating faster than its representation. Faster than its representation. What he understood was simple and radical. If speed was going to matter beyond the circuit, it needed a language. Speed had to be seen, not documented.
Of who we were.
Alexander's most important decision was not aesthetic, it was physical. He moved closer, closing to cars approaching at full speed, closer to pit lanes under pressure, closer to crowds standing at the edge of risk. This proximity was not about spectacle, it was about honesty. Blur entered the frame because speed could not be frozen. Grain appeared because conditions were harsh. Composition bent because movement distorted the space. Alexander allowed speed to interrupt the photograph. He did not attempt to control motion. He let it pass through the image. This is where his work diverged from reportage and entered authorship. Alexander's photographs did something else that was equally important. They reintroduced people. Cars were no longer isolated machines. They were surrounded by bodies, spectators leaning forward, mechanics exhausted between moments, drivers exposed and waiting. Speed became collective. In Alexander's images, motorsport is not heroic and distant. It is crowded, uncertain, and shared by thousands of people standing uncomfortably close to danger. This reframing mattered. Speed was no longer only about performance, it was about vulnerability. By placing humans back into the frame, Alexander made speed relatable without reducing its intensity. Act 4: Inventing the Grammar of Motion. What we now recognize as how speed looks did not exist before photographers like Alexander. Motion blur, compressed distances, skewed perspectives, foreground bodies colliding with background machines. These conventions were not formalized. They emerged through repetition. Alexander's work quietly defined what felt authentic. Editors, advertisers, and broadcasters absorbed these visual cues. Over time, they became standard. This language escaped motorsport. It entered automotive advertising, documentary film, magazine culture, and later digital media as well. Alexander established a principle that still holds. Distance weakens credibility. If you were far away, you didn't understand speed.
Beautiful legacy. Every line, every curve leaves a trace of who we were.
Alexander worked before safety protocols sanitized motorsport. Circuits were unforgiving, barriers were minimal, failures were violent. The danger in his images is not symbolic, it is present. This matters because it explains the authority of his photographs. They are not simulations of risk, they are records of it. Speed in Alexander's work is not aspirational fantasy, it is consequential. That honesty shaped how motorsport entered public consciousness, not as entertainment alone, but as a lived condition at the edge of control.
Beauty. Beautiful legacy. Every line, every
The
curve
world we
leaves a
inherited
trace of who
from Jesse Alexander. The world we inherited is one where speed has a visual language. We recognize danger before impact. We sense proximity without explanation. We understand motion even when standing still. Today, motorsport imagery, from broadcasts to advertising, still follows the grammar Alexander helped establish. His work set the emotional baseline from how speed should feel. Without him, speed might still impress, but it would not feel real. Alexander helped translate extreme motion into something readable, discussable, and culturally relevant. And this is how speed entered everyday imagination.
beautiful legacy. Every line, every curve leaves a trace of who we were.
Jesse Alexander did not slow speed down. He did not make it safer. He did not make it easier. What he did was make speed shareable. Before his images, speed belonged almost exclusively to those who experienced it directly. Drivers, mechanics, spectators at the edge of circuits. Everyone else remained outside the experience, dependent on description or imagination. Alexander changed that. By standing close enough, long enough, and often at personal risk, he translated extreme motion into a visual language that could travel. His photographs allowed speed to leave the circuit and enter magazines advertising memory and culture. This matters because movement only becomes everyday once it can be understood without participation. Alexander made speed legible without neutralizing it. He preserved danger without sensationalizing it. He captured motion without pretending to control it. Jesse Alexander helped the world accept speed as part of modern life, not as abstraction, but as experience interpreted through images. And that, truly, is a beautiful legacy.
Beautiful legacy. Every line, every curve leaves a trace of who we were.
You've been listening to A Beautiful Legacy. This February, we're exploring how movement became everyday. If movement inspires you, follow the show and join me every Tuesdays and Thursdays. Until then, keep noticing the beauty people leave behind.
Beautiful legacy. Every line, every curve leaves a trace of who we were. In the shape of a chair, in the light on a wall, someone's dream still stands tall. But